the next question we often get asked is, well, how do you know if you're ready to take advantage of data as an asset for your organization? In particular, I think, Krishna and the team were telling me there's a wide variety of levels at this conference. And this is a question that is top of mind for, a C-suite leader to, a manager, to people of all positions, is how do you actually know that you're ready? Now, I want to say something very controversial. If we were here in person, I usually hear like gasps in the audience. But most of us, so I'm just preparing you all, is that most of us believe that the more big data that we have, the better decisions we will make. And data is the fuel for anything we do with AI. It is the fuel. So what I'm here to share with you and to try and, really get us to think about is that not necessarily that having more data, which is the basis of any kind of software services that you have, is that it does not automatically lead to better decisions, higher profits, or even more customers. And so here's an exercise we can all do on the screen here. It's actually much easier to do. Sometimes I do this in person. It doesn't really work. But, here's on your screen this exercise I do, which is cover your left eye with your hands and just stare at the crosshairs and lean, just crosshairs that mark. Now lean your face forward and just see what happens when you lean into the screen. Watch what disappears. All right, I'm doing this with you to confirm. And this happens even if you kind of like put something on the right hand side. So what should have happened is that the dot on the right hand side of your screen, the black dot, should have disappeared. Now, I do this exercise to show you that like we all have blind spots. No matter what, when you're leaning very much on one eye here in this case, and literally, it's easy to miss something to have this blind spot. And it happens in real life all the time. Like when you're driving, if you're really focused on the thing that's in front of you, when you're looking just straight ahead, sometimes people will be like, well, that car came out of nowhere, right? It's because it didn't really come out of nowhere, but it's because your brain was so focused and really focused on using this tool or whatever that perspective you're trying to focus on that you kind of missed the signals coming in. And this is what's exciting about, AI tools like that SupportLogic has built, is that it's enabling companies to pick up on the signals to be able to make the right predictions and to curate the most relevant information. And we want these tools because we want to make all the right decisions with data, especially data as a basis for any kind of machine learning or AI products. But the issue with, our human fallibility is that it's still humans using this product, and it should be humans using the product, is that we have blind spots. And as a result, investing in data is really easy, but using it is really hard. It's very easy to say, well, I'm going to use this tool and it's going to help me do X, Y, Z. The same thing with, we went through phases after big data was a thing, and then it was like machine learning, right? Investing in machine learning is easy, but using it hard. Investing in AI is easy, but using it is actually super hard. And investing in, software is easy. And we can replace the sentence with whatever thing that the management thinks is the thing that's going to help them solve all their problems. Here is a study that I really like that was done out of a collaboration with several universities that show just why it's so hard. And what this study shows, we're going to do this together, but the big takeaway is that ahead of time is that computing intelligence struggles with context. You can have the most perfect data set and it would still struggle with context. So here's an example where the bunch of researchers gathered and they did a study where it's like, okay, clearly we all know this is a stop sign, right? And having computer vision in any kind of self-driving car is super important. But why is it that self-driving cars are not fully autonomous? And that is because self-driving car, it's very, very hard for computer vision to manage context, to manage the unknown. And so this is clearly, we all know this is a stop sign, but when the researchers introduced an image into the software, into the algorithm, the image recognition algorithm, and they just put like a few little pieces of distortion in there, clearly to us, this is a stop sign, right? Well, this is what the computer guessed it was. They said, computer, what is it? And the computer was like, well, that's not a stop sign. That just said speed limit 45, because the computer had never seen this kind of image before. It was unknown to the machine. But to the human, we know this is just some context. Like maybe there was like a feather, a leaf flying in the air. Your brain still goes, oh, that's a stop sign. The computer did this with, but they put the stop sign on the side, and then this is what the computer guessed. Dumbbell. Clearly, we know that's a stop sign. Same thing. The computer put the next thing on its side where they're like, let's just put it completely flat. And they said, okay, computer, what is it? And they said, this is a racket. Clearly not a racket. And so this is actually pretty scary that, and all of these things, the human brain, our human brains would know this is a stop sign, but because this is unknown to the computer, they guessed that it was something else.